The World Cup is underway, but I'm not that fussed about it. I'm more interested in the alternative realities. For example, the world's smallest countries by population, all competing to win football's biggest prize. So that's exactly what I've done. With the help of the best football manager editor I know, Azami, who makes an unreal Japanese database, by the way, link to that one down in the description, he's rebuilt the entire World Cup from the ground up so we can add any team in the world that we want to our custom World Cups. And so today we've got the World Cup, but all 32 countries taking part in it are the smallest countries in the world by population. Let me take you through it. And so here we have our World Cup of the smallest countries in the world, and it'll be really interesting to see if some of the European giants like Andorra and San Marino can take on the wonder kids of St. Lucia and Tuvalu. To ensure that every single nation has as many real players as possible and hopefully make this experiment as accurate as possible, I've made sure that all 459,000 players in FM's database are available in this save file. So that means for nations like Antigua and Barbuda from the Caribbean, they have their players playing in the UK such as Marlon Romero and Nick Townsend available to them, but they've also got players available to them such as Quinton Griffin, who currently plays for a team actually in Antigua and Barbuda. So going through the groups one by one, in Group A we've got Bermuda, Kiribati, San Marino and the US Virgin Islands. In Group B we've got a real clash of titans. Antigua and Barbuda are in there alongside St. Martin, but Curacao and Liechtenstein, for me, are some of the favourites for this tournament. Liechtenstein, the best team in Europe in this competition, 192nd in world rankings as you can see. But Curacao are 84th in FIFA rankings. They've got a really decent team. You can see in the current ability here, there's quite a lot of players with over 100 current ability out of 200, so they should do pretty well. And they've got a lot of players with Dutch nationality as their second nationality as well, as Curacao was formerly part of the Dutch Empire. My history on it is not that good, so let's not get into colonial history or anything like that. But English fans will recognise Bakuna, who currently plays for Birmingham. Fans of MLS will recognise Eloy Room, who plays for Columbus, a really decent goalkeeper as well. And there's a lot of players that also play in the Netherlands as well. There's a few players here who play for Volvic and PSV too. So there's quite some decent players in this squad. Group C features Anguilla, Dominica, Faroe Islands and Grenada. In Group D we have Gibraltar, Guam, Micronesia and Sint Maarten, which is going to be a really interesting group. Gibraltar, of course, 203rd in FIFA rankings. They are going to be a decent team. They've got some decent players by current ability, as you can see. Most of them playing for Lincoln Red Imps in Gibraltar, but TJ DeBar is playing for Wycombe Wanderers in real life. The youngster there should be pretty good, and hopefully for him, he'll have a very good World Cup. In Group E, we have got the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, North Marina and St. Lucia. In Group F, we have American Samoa, Aruba, Tonga and Tuvalu. In Group G, we've got Sao Tome and Principe, which I've probably butchered in saying, the Seychelles, St. Vincent and the Turks and Caicos Islands. And finally, in Group H, we've got Andorra, the Cook Islands, Samoa, and St. Kitts and Nevis. But my pre-tournament favourites are probably the Faroe Islands. I think these guys are going to go on to win the entire thing. They're pretty decent. They play anyway for competitions. They've got some good players in that squad as well. If anyone's going to beat Curacao, it's going to be the Faroe Islands. So let's go and simulate this World Cup. But before we do that, today's video is sponsored by the One Football app, the best place to keep up to date with the current real-life World Cup. You can get all the latest news, scores and updates right on the app, and you can get in-depth match reports on there as well for every single World Cup game. For me, it's the best way to actually keep up with the real World Cup in between making videos and streaming for you guys over on Twitch. So if you do want to help the channel out, make sure you do download the One Football app for absolutely free from the top line of the description. So I've simulated through this World Cup, and these are the group stage results. If we look into Group A, Bermuda topped the group on 5 points, and San Marino also finished on 5 points, and so did the US Virgin Islands. But by virtue of goal difference, the US Virgin Islands are knocked out. It's Kiribati actually who lose every single game. Wow. So San Marino and the US Virgin Islands draw, and then the US Virgin Islands and Bermuda draw, and then Bermuda and San Marino draw, and they all end up beating Kiribati. So they all draw with each other, so it's just quite unlucky for the US Virgin Islands not to progress. Group B is a little bit easier to go through. Curacao and Liechtenstein are the two teams going through that on 7 and 6 points apiece. Antigua and Barbuda on 4 points, just missing out there, and St Martin didn't win a single game. Looking into Group C, my boys from the Faroe Islands, they're my pre-tournament favourites. They've topped the group with 9 points, doing pretty well there. Grenada also going through, and Anguilla and Dominica knocked out. I think we've seen the first shock of the tournament though, because Gibraltar have been knocked out at the group stage of the World Cup, knocked out by St Martin and Guam. Wow, Guam winning every single game, and Gibraltar with just the 4 points to their name. I presume they beat Micronesia, drew to St Martin and lost to Guam. Also having a really strong group stage is St Lucia, a team that maybe went under the radar just a little bit for me. They've topped the group with 9 points, scoring 7 goals and having 0 goals against. Wow, that is pretty impressive actually. Well done to St Lucia. They go through alongside the Cayman Islands with the British Virgin Islands and Northern Mariana getting knocked out. Looking into Group F, Aruba and Tonga have gone through. My boys from Tonga have got themselves through, only in second place with 5 points, but it was enough to beat Tuvalu and the American Samoa on 3 and 1 points respectively. Seychelles and Sao Tome, I really wanted them to go out because I cannot say their name properly. I'm going to have to say it again a few times, aren't I? That's annoying. Watch them now win the World Cup and I can't pronounce them properly the entire way through. But they've qualified, knocking out St Vincent and the Turks and Caicos Islands. And in the final group, Andorra get themselves through with St Kitts and Nevis knocking out the Cook Islands and Samoa. So the biggest shock there for me is Gibraltar being knocked out. For me, I had them going quite far in this tournament. Probably actually the furthest out of most of the European clubs. Liechtenstein maybe just ahead of them potentially, but let's head into the second round to see what's gone on, and we'll go through them in order. And as you can see, Bermuda have been knocked out by Liechtenstein. Well done to Liechtenstein progressing into the next round, and the Faroe Islands make it 2 from 2 so far for the UEFA nations as they knock out St Martin. Unfortunately, a really tight battle though between two of the pre-tournament favourites, probably San Marino and Curacao. It sees Curacao go through 1-0 winners there before Grenada knock out Guam 4-0. St Lucia beat Tonga 3-1, whereas St Kitts and Nevis beat the Seychelles 2-0. It takes extra time for Aruba to score 2 goals to beat the Cayman Islands, and yes, thankfully, Sao Tome and Principe being knocked out there by Andorra. I am interested in this Curacao-San Marino game though, as you can see, and it's actually a 1-0 win with the 15th minute goal there from Nigel Robertha. 21 shots to 7 shots for Curacao with a 2.84 XG. They dominated that game, didn't they? San Marino defended for their lives with quite a defensive formation, but it wasn't enough. Also, if you're watching right now and you're enjoying this, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe if you're new around here, as it tells me that you guys want to see more of these experiments in the future. Got quite a few lined up, so if you want to see them, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. So into the quarterfinals, and this is where things hot up. 2 UEFA nations pitched against each other. Liechtenstein 0, Faroe Islands 3. A big result there. And it's the Caribbean nations actually that have a good battle here. St Lucia win on penalties against St Kitts and Nevis, whereas Curacao had to go to extra time to beat Grenada. And Aruba knock out Andorra. Andorra will be fuming with that. But Aruba dominated them in that game. A late goal from Ethan Tromp there ensured they got the victory. Curacao needed extra time. The goal from Robertha, once again, we've seen him score a few goals this tournament. That was the goal that won it for them after Ollie Norburn equalised with a penalty. I feel like he plays in League One in England. And he does somewhere. It's either Peterborough or Shrewsbury, or I don't know which one it is, but one of them. Okay, so into the semi-finals then. The Faroe Islands are still there. They were my pre-tournament favourites, and I thought Curacao would also do pretty well, and they're both in these semi-finals. Oh my word, but they both lost. Whoa, St Lucia win and Aruba win, knocking out but arguably the 2 strongest teams in this competition. Wow. Oh my word. Faroe Islands were absolutely FM'd. 15 shots to 3. St Lucia had 2 on target in the entire game, and they scored an 84th minute winner thanks to Jevic McFarlane, who currently plays for a team based in Jamaica. And Aruba won it in the 94th minute. It was going to extra time. And again, Curacao have been the better team in that game, looking across all things. But Aruba in the 94th minute, what a game this must have been. Wow. That's wild. And so we know that the Faroe Islands and Curacao are going to be in that 3rd, 4th playoff place, and Faroe Islands win that one 2-1. And to be fair, based on the match stats, it looked like they did deserve that win as well, so congrats on them coming 3rd. But the final, Aruba versus St Lucia, the entire world is watching this one. It's the World Cup final. Who is going to have those bragging rights? And it's St Lucia. They win 1-0. And it's that man again, Jebek McFarlane, who gets the goal in the 48th minute in actually what is quite a deserved win here for St. Lucia. As you can see, 14 shots to 6. So the XG is really tight though, so they weren't very good quality shots. But by looks of things, the man of the match here with the 8 rating gets it. They've also got a guy called Joel Felix as well, which kind of makes you feel like this is when you order João Felix from wish.com, but you get a Joel Felix instead. To be fair, he plays his football in Denmark. Actually, it's pretty solid, to be fair, for a young 24-year-old player. I'd be tempted to sign him, actually. A couple of my saves with Lincoln City. So just going over a few player stats, as you can see here. The top scorer is this guy from the Faroe Islands. I can't pronounce his first name, but his surname's Olsen. He got 5 goals in 6 and a bit appearances, 1 substitute appearance there. He beats Tereth Gruferson from Aruba, who got 5 goals in 7 appearances. So we got less goals per minute, or more goals per minute. The stat is he's won the top goal scorer. Obviously, we spoke about Roberta a few times. He got 4 goals in 7 games. But the guy who got the goals in the final and the semi-final, right down here, Jebek McFarlane, only scored 2 goals in the entire tournament. And they won the World Cup for St. Lucia. Wow, St. Lucia's keeper actually kept 5 clean sheets in 7 appearances. That's not bad going at all, including 1 in the final, which was all important for them. But the record book does not lie. St. Lucia end up the winners of the world's smallest population World Cup. We are going to do some more videos just like this, so leave some suggestions down in the comments for what you guys want to see. But if you want to see a scientific and proven way to know who's going to win the World Cup this year, I've done 100 simulations of the World Cup, and you can watch that video on screen right now.